Welcome to another episode of the Adrienne Ross Show, where sports and culture connect. The Indiana Fever lost by 1 point to the Dallas Wings on Tuesday night, a team that one would think, based on records, based on paper, the Fever should defeat. But as I've said so many times, games are not played on paper. Games are played on the court. Should doesn't win games. And the Indiana Fever didn't win that game either. After the Phoenix Mercury game, you kind of look ahead at the schedule and you go, okay, there's Chicago. We should be able to win that game. And then there's Dallas. We should be able to win that game. Doesn't work like that. And the Indiana Fever, so close, couldn't get it done. So I'm going to talk a little bit about my observations of the game, and then I'm going to park at the end of the game because I know that's the part that is controversial for many people. When you get down to 1 point, everything matters. So we're going to get into that in a bit. For now, we'll talk about the beginning of the game. The starting five started out really flat, got itself into a hole. Now, Dallas played good defense, and honestly, Dallas has nothing to lose because Dallas is not vying for a playoff spot. So they're going to come out there and they're going to compete. And they did. Indiana starters, really cold. Then we get substitutions, and some of them seem really unconventional. However, it was the unconventional lineup that sparked the comeback because it is a game of runs, and Indiana did begin to come back. In fact, tying the game 42-42 going into the half. However, the game was wrought with turnovers. And if I have my numbers right, Dallas scored 27 points off of Indiana's turnovers. Can't be winning games like that. I cannot dismiss the fact, of course, that Indiana does not have a true point guard. Now, of course, the team brought in Odyssey Sims, and that's fine. However, she just got there. And I'm not riding anybody's case, anybody, when I make my remarks today. But she just got there. Not everybody is going to have a first appearance like Ari McDonald did when she showed up in a Fever jersey. And we didn't get that from Odyssey Sims. She told us beforehand that she was nervous. I don't know if it had anything to do with nervousness or it's just that she just showed up. So you have to show her some grace. But I got to say, she didn't help the team. And again, no shade to her at all. So you don't have people who handle the basketball as a point guard would, and that is going to affect the team. You had Caitlin go down, and you got Sydney and Ari going down, and so you've got people playing out of position. And all I know is if I'm the opposition and you know that they don't have a true point guard on the floor, I'm coming after you and I'm adding pressure. And there were so many turnovers in this game for Indiana. Now, there were turnovers that we're gonna look at in a moment from Dallas as well. But the difference is they scored off of our turnovers. I say our, like I was, in Jersey, like I was ready to suit it up, ready to go. So that's a huge part. A lot of adversity. Don't have a true point guard. And anybody who's ever played the point guard position or anybody who's ever played with a good point guard, that's your floor general. Very often as the point guard goes, so the team goes. So we can't dismiss the fact that we don't have Caitlin, Ari, Sydney. It just is what it is. But the team battled. And like I said, some of that spark to get that run going in the first half came from people off the bench. Bibby came in and hit big shots. Later in the game, I felt like she was more of a liability on the other end of the floor. turnover, just gave the ball to the other team. Again, not throwing shade, just saying what it is. She did have a good defensive action at one point in the game where she was sprinting down and she knocked the ball from behind. But overall, I mean, we can count on her offense, and she was able to give us that. Defensively, I felt like she was a bit of a problem, and she wasn't the only one. Now, we're going to take a look at the box score. I'm going to go over a couple things there, and then I'm going to get right to the end of the game. So again, Dallas 81, Indiana 80. When you look at the quarter breakdowns, Indiana lost the first quarter by 8 points, but then Indiana won the second quarter. We were tied at the half. Coming out in the third quarter, Indiana only scored 13 points to 25 from Dallas. Then the fourth quarter, Indiana turned it around, 25 points to 14 points. So Indiana won quarter 2 and quarter 4. Now we're going to look at some of these categories. Let's look at field goal percentage. Dallas shot 42.3% from the field. Indiana did better, 44.4% from the field. Then we go to 3-point percentage. Dallas, 30.8%. Indiana, 40.9%. So far, beating in those two, all categories I've covered so far. Then we go to free throw. Dallas, 86.7% from the field. Indiana, 78.9% from the field. And speaking of fouls, I never knew Paige Beckers was such a whiner and a flopper. Yes, I said it. And yeah, the most special whistle perhaps in the WNBA. Meanwhile, Sophie can't get a call at all. Aaliyah Boston definitely can't get any calls. The officials showed up in the second half, and they didn't show up. They didn't show up in an Indiana Fever jersey. We don't want them showing up in an Indiana Fever jersey. We would just like them not to show up in the opponent's jersey. I'll leave it at that. What you gonna do? Find me? All right. Then let's go to overall rebounds. Dallas had 30 rebounds in the game. Indiana, 39 rebounds. So again, other than free throws, we're winning in every category here. Until we get here, assists. Dallas had 25 assists. Indiana had 15. That's a huge difference. And that does have a lot to do with ball movement. And it has a lot to do with not having point guards on the floor. Not that you have to be a point guard to assist, but obviously when Caitlin's on the floor, that number is up. Steals, 9 steals from Dallas. Indiana, 7 steals. Okay. Blocks, 1 block from Dallas. Indiana had 5 blocks in this game. Turnovers, 14 turnovers for Dallas. That's a lot, but Indiana had 17, a 3 turnover difference. But again, we gave up 27 points off of turnovers, and 20 of those were in the first half. Now let's look at points. Leading scorers for Dallas, you had Maddie Segrist with 22 points, who shot 9 of 13. Then you had Paige Beckers, who didn't shoot a good percentage at all, but had 16 points, and her team was a -1 with her. And then you had your 20 points off the bench from Lee Yaroo with, like I said, 20 points on 7 of 14 shooting. Indiana, our leading scorer was Kelsey Mitchell, 7 for 15. She also had 3 turnovers. Then we had Aaliyah Boston with 14 points. She shot 5 for 10. Good percentage there. Sophie Cunningham, she also shot 5 for 10 and had 14 points. And then we got 12 points from Natasha Howard, shooting 5 for 9. And also 12 rebounds from Tosh with 1 assist, 2 steals, 3 blocks in this game. And then from the bench, Chloe Bibby with 11 points. And so we have 5 players in double digits, but not enough from the bench. So first I have to say, I do commend this team, obviously with not the key pieces that they need. And yet they managed to dig themselves out of a hole after digging themselves into a hole. So you do what you got to do. You claw, you fight. Even had players off the bench come in We're like, this is an interesting lineup, but they begin to start a comeback. And then you had starting players who came in and took the ball from there, quite literally. And then that was the fight that we needed going into halftime. In the second half, situation as well. Beginning of the fourth quarter, it was a lineup. It was like, what is this? But I figured it out. Trying to get your starters a breath, trying to give them a breather, and figuring if you can get people in who can do something for you and basically do no harm, right? Do no harm. They can catch their breath because they're going to need their legs. There's a lot of time in this fourth quarter. They're going to need their legs for the comeback that you need. So you do that, you get them a rest, especially in a close game, because you don't, is it going to be overtime? But still, I need my players who are going to finish for us to be strong. So you buy yourself a few minutes, and that's what they did. And you know what? Like I said, they sparked this comeback. And then sure enough, all five back in with fresh legs, was fresh as it can be with this WNBA schedule. And then boom, got us right to the end. Now, to echo Chloe Bibby in the postgame, really shouldn't have been in this situation. Too many turnovers, some missed free throws, but again, too many turnovers in the game. So it never should have been at the place where you needed that last play. They had other opportunities, even in the midst of not having their regular players and ball handlers. But of course, that did figure in. So now I'm going to go to the end of the game, and I have my coach's hat on, and I'm going to talk about what I see, what I would have done, what was done. So let's go. We're going to go right over to the WNBA website and take a look. As I said, Indiana is pushing one big time comeback, and it's 81 Dallas, 78 Indiana. So we've got ourselves a 3-point game. You can see here Kelsey Mitchell with the basketball. There are 3 seconds on the shot clock. Is Kelsey able to make something happen here as this game is winding down?
Mitchell trying to create with 5 to shoot. Mitchell through the lane. And scoop it in. And it's a 1-point game.
Answer to that is obviously a resounding yes. So now it's 81 Dallas, 80 Indiana, and Dallas calls a timeout. So as we see, Dallas is in the huddle during the timeout the team called. When you look down here, both Dallas and Indiana have one reset timeout. And in that situation, you can advance the ball. You can reset. You are not allowed to huddle. You just allowed to reset and move the ball as well. So Indiana dialed in the huddle. As a coach, what am I doing? I'm laying out the whole thing. In this one timeout, this is Dallas's last regular timeout. Both teams only have reset timeouts. So I got to explain everything I need to explain. So what am I telling my team? I'm telling my team there are 33.4 seconds left in the game, and Dallas has 24 seconds on their shot clock. So there's about a 9-second differential here. So I want you to play straight up defense. I'm saying, Lexi, I need you on Paige because Paige is probably going to get the basketball. So I need a strong defender. We cannot bail them out with fouls. Now, notice Indiana does have a foul to give, but I don't want to waste that. I just want you to play straight up defense and not bail Dallas out. Got to be smart. Now, I'm then telling them we need to get a stop. When we get a stop, I want you to attack the basket. You've got Kelsey Mitchell, who is extremely quick. We just saw that. She can get downhill. She can get something. And depending on when Dallas puts the shot up, that's how much time, of course, you're going to have left. But you cannot give up an offensive rebound. So make sure you box out and get the rebound and push the ball up the floor. Me as a coach, I am not calling a reset timeout if we get a stop and an opportunity to push the ball, because I do not want the other team, Dallas, to have an opportunity to set up defense. I want to attack the basket. However, if Dallas scored, my call would be reset timeout, advance the basketball, because you're not going to have an advantage in that situation if you're taking it out of the net. So call that reset timeout. But the goal is to keep Dallas from scoring, get a stop, and push the ball and attack the basket. This is what I'm saying. I'm covering all of that right now. I'm covering what you're going to do on the defensive end and the mindset on the offensive end. So with 33.4 seconds to go and those instructions, they're ready to take the floor.
Indiana huddling down one. These games critical for them when you look at the playoff race and the standings. Caitlin Clark encouraging her squad.
Okay, so just as I said, Paige is going to get the basketball. She's got the basketball, and Lexi Hull is defending her.
Backing away. Becker's on the drive. Stops. Takes. Can't hit.
So mission accomplished here. We were able to get the rebound. There's Howard. Now, my preference would be for Howard to give the ball up. If you're in our live streams, you hear me yelling all the time when there's a stop and Howard has the ball. I'm like, no, Howard, no, Howard, no. Everybody in the chat, no, Howard. And then something good happens and we're like, yes, yes, okay. Somebody even said we need a t-shirt that said no, Howard, no on the front, and then yes, okay on the back. But she makes me nervous when she's handling the basketball, even though more often than not, it works out fine for her to bring it up, but it makes me nervous. I'd rather see the ball in a guard. And so I would rather her hand the ball right here to Lexi, or I got it on slow motion here, or you can see Kelsey Mitchell over here. Howard, if she's going to run the break, should be in the middle of the floor. And then you've got Lexi filling one lane, and then you've got Kelsey filling the other lane. But Howard comes over here as if, let's keep going, as if she's going to call a timeout or something, but obviously not. She looks in the other direction. And if she were going to call the reset timeout, then she should have done that on the rebound. But again, I don't want a reset timeout. I want you to attack the basket. And I want the ball in Kelsey Mitchell's hand in this situation. But Howard comes over here. She crowds Kelsey Mitchell. And right now where I pick up 9.7 on the clock. Again, I don't want to reset. I don't want Dallas to be able to set up anything. But I want the ball in Kelsey Mitchell's hand. So there's Howard. And she's looking. And then you saw, I don't know if you saw it, but Sophie points over to Kelsey Mitchell. Now, Kelsey has the ball. Howard sets a screen, but Kelsey goes to her right, and she's got momentarily two white jerseys on her. Now follow along here. There she is dribbling to her right. They come at her with two people. Howard's over here. 6 seconds left on the clock. Still plenty of time for Kelsey to be able to make something happen. So here now, she comes back to her left because, of course, that's where she's most comfortable. Howard is now making her way to the paint. So Kelsey comes back, nothing there. So she turns, and then what? She goes to the right. And then they're allowing her to go right because that's the scouting report on Kelsey Mitchell. Take away the left. So here, Howard has great position here, right? So what Kelsey needs to do is get the ball into Howard. You've got 3.6 seconds. Get the pass in to Howard, who's got her defender behind her, and Howard can turn, get to the basket, get a layup, possibly get fouled. Maybe the whistle will blow, but then again, it's Indiana, so I wouldn't count on it. But get her the ball with a good pass. Let her make a strong move to the basket. But instead, watch. Kelsey then does what? She goes back to her comfortable side, goes to her left, and bobbles the basketball. And now you need a timeout. So at this point, you got to have a timeout. It's 2.6 to go. Kelsey Mitchell had an opportunity right there, didn't take the opportunity, tried to go left, nothing's there, bobbles the basketball, and then still time. And now you've got the referee here, you got white right here. Then you're still waiting because Kelsey's kind of looked like she's trying to turn the corner here. But now there's nothing. So now we get a timeout with 1.7 seconds to go. But I reiterate, this pass has to be made to Howard, who's got an advantage right here. Boom, attack the basket, or over the top, attack the basket. And again, I'm not trying to come after Kelsey, because it's partly because of Kelsey that we're even in the game, right? It's partly because of Kelsey that we even have this opportunity. But in this situation, you have what you want right here. But she goes back in the other direction. She did put that shot up, of course, but the timeout was called, so it's 1.7 on the clock. Reset timeout. Remember, you cannot huddle, right? So it's just a reset. So with 1.7 seconds to go, you got to do something super quick. But it is time to put up a shot. And you see Caitlin right here. She's been coaching the whole time. And let's see what happens.
Wondering if she might take it as the possession was dwindling.
She had to, because Kelsey Mitchell's back was to the basket. She was not going to get a clean look up.
Indiana ball down 1.7 to go. Cunningham has to get it in. Mitchell in the corner.
And the rest is history. Opportunity was there. Interesting, though, is watching Caitlin over here. Let me turn this sound off again. So Caitlin, I haven't seen an angle closer, right? I only see from this side as if I'm on the opposite side of the court. But whatever Caitlin saw, as soon as this game ended, Caitlin heads over to the official and she is clapping her hand like at the official. So my guess is that she saw what she believed was a foul. I don't know. I can't see it from here, but it's a rare thing that an official is going to blow a whistle in a situation like that with 1.7 seconds. And it's even more rare if you're the Indiana Fever. Tough ending there. I already told you how I would have set this up. If you have an opportunity, you push the ball up the floor and you try to get downhill, you attack the basket. And you had opportunities there, but just not good down the stretch. And then the timeout with 1.7 seconds left. She got a look, but obviously it wasn't what you wanted to happen. And at the same time, I go, you know what? This team, to lose by one, they're just a shell of their former selves due to no fault of their own. So kudos to them for fighting back, for overcoming some huge deficits in the game and getting themselves to a point where they had a really good opportunity to win the game. I hate to see them even be in that situation. And again, as Chloe Bibby said in the post game, we shouldn't have even been in that spot. Just too many turnovers, missed opportunities as well, and shot clock violations. There's a lot of stuff. 27 points off turnovers. You got to do better, because as I've said many times, these so-called lesser teams, they got nothing to lose. So they're gonna play free. And a lot of times you struggle among, against teams that you quote unquote should beat. But they fought back. And I'm still riding with Indiana. I know what they've been through. I see what they've been through. And so this is their jobs, and they want to go and they want to perform. And I'm a fan. So I am not even going to pretend that it hurts me as much as it hurts them, even though that one was a tough one. But what a comeback. If you're not subscribed to the Adrienne Ross Show, please do so. If you have already, I appreciate you. And of course, every member of the channel, I appreciate you. So I will catch you next time, God willing. God bless you abundantly.